we're going to start the base of the lamp for this video. I'm going to start by using a cylinder. I'm going to go hit spacebar and I'm going to go into my side view and just try and get this roughly the size that I want. So I can use the values of the object to start with. So we get some values here. We've got height and radius. I'm going to work with the radius. I'm going to drag that out so it's roughly about the same as the image. I'm going to drop this up to 8 and that'll be good enough for me. Once I've done that, something just to keep in mind, we will be using like the grid. So the grid is going to be used as the ground. Basically, it's a good way of keeping everything on the surface of the scene. So a couple of things that I need to do here. I don't think I need to. I'm just gonna check. So I have the same amount of edges I do. That's okay. Okay, so I'm not gonna worry about adding more subdivisions to the edges. You can add some if you want to. I'm not gonna worry about that. Just keep in mind, the more that you have, maybe the harder it is for Maya to run smooth, and also it can make it more tedious to actually select things because you've got more faces and everything. So just keep those things in mind as well while you're doing it. I'm going to move the pivot point, so I want to move the pivot point to the bottom and then drag the object up because at the moment it's going through the floor. So again, I'm going to hold D to modify the pivot, and I'm going to hold V at the same time to move it down, snap it to a vertex down here. And let go. And I'm going to hold X this time, and this will snap to the grid. So I can snap it to the ground. And I've got that nicely positioned there now. I'm also just going to snap it to a grid point just to keep everything nice and balanced. Probably a good thing, we'll do it later. I was going to align everything to the center point of the grid just to keep everything in the center again, but we'll do that at the end. Don't worry about that for now. I want to create some sort of like mount here now so that it connects to the arm of the lamp. I'm going to again do it slightly different to what it is on here. I'm going to create a new cylinder, and for now I'm just going to move it somewhere about there. This will come in handy later on. I'm not going to worry too much about it right now. I'm going to make another one. So I've got 2 now. I'm going to rotate this one. I'm going to hold J to rotate it at an angle, and then I can rotate it to 90 degrees like that. I am going to, let's see, I'm going to go to side view, just see the width of this. So potentially I want to maybe cut the width of this cylinder in half. I'm going to use this as the arm or the mount here to connect it to the arm. Radius 0.6. That looks pretty good there. I might move it up just to 0.8 just so it's a little bit bigger for me. I think it may look a bit odd if the arm is really small, so I'll just make it a little bit larger like that. Okay, so I'm going to scale this, so I'm going to scale it like so. This again isn't going to be 100% accurate. Maybe for the first time that I do it, I may need to modify this later on, but we'll work with it like this so far. I'm going to go to face mode, and I'm going to delete the bottom half, and then go to edge and hold shift and drag down to extrude like that. Now I am going to go back into my side view here and just see what it looks like. And again, I will probably just snap it into place So I'm gonna say about here. I'm gonna go up one. I'll snap it about there. For you guys, if you're not following the grid points, don't worry. I'm just used to doing that. Something again that you may not need to do right now. It is sometimes good practice whenever you're animating and setting things up to use grid points. Definitely to make sure that you line things up to the vertices properly. That's a definite requirement. I'm just going to soften the edge of this here, soften edge, and drop it in like that. Now what I want to do now is have two of these, and I'm going to drag this in again. I'm going to go and change the pivot point of this piece here, and I'm going to hold V to snap it to a vertex again, and I'm going to snap it to the top of this one. Again, side view, and I'm going to go to my vertices. I'm now going to snap the pivot to these as well, and I will hit snap to vertex again and put it in the middle like that. Alright, so now I need to have two of these. So what all I need to do is hit Control D to duplicate it, and it'll create another copy. Whenever you're using Maya, don't hit Control C and Control V. It may not be obvious why not to do that, but if you see over here, you've just put it in a group, and groups make it very difficult to kind of work with if everything is in a different hierarchy and everything. Like you can start messing up and get very confused as to what things are doing and why they're doing things that you don't want them to do. So don't use Control C and V. Always hit Control D to duplicate. That way you don't get a group, and it just copies the object on its own. So that is fine there. The next thing that I may want to do here, I'm gonna leave that just for now. I'm gonna start the arm, and then I can finish this off and then just see what it's meant to look like. I want to modify this slightly now, so I want to give it a little bit of, I don't know, shape rather than just being flat. I'm going to select the top here, so I'm going to hold tab and click and drag the top surfaces, and I'm going to hit the extrude button. I'm not going to use thickness this time. I'm going to drag it in an offset, so 2 looks okay, and then I'm going to go to edge, and I'm going to drag this edge down a little bit, and now you can see that we've got like a little bit more of a shape happening here. That looks okay. What I need to do is harden the edge on the top, so I need to harden this edge, so mesh display, harden edge, and then I'll see that there as well. Next thing then, what I can do is double click in here and bevel. I'm not going to bevel too much. I'm just going to put 2 segments in there, and it'll just give it a little bit more of a rounded shape. And I may do the same for this one as well, just bevel it a little bit and then increase the segments just like that there. Okay, so now we've added a little bit extra detail there, instead of just having it like a flat object. What you could also do as well, I may as well do it just in case you want to do it as well on your lamp too. I'm going to put a switch on the bottom part. You could potentially have one on the top of it here. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'll bevel this as well. So I'm going to bevel this as well, just give it a nice curve on the top. And that should be okay there. Yeah, that's okay. So there is kind of that hard edge happening again. So all I need to do is double click, mesh display, soften edge, and then it will disappear. That looks much better. You could, if you wanted to, you could add it to this edge here too. And same like in here, if you wanted to add it to that one as well to just smooth that out a little bit. But I'll leave that up to you. But yeah, you could put a switch up here if you wanted to. I'm just gonna put one down here on the bottom. And again, I'm just gonna, because I've got everything snapped nicely to the grid, I am just going to keep it snapped to the grid just to make sure everything's similar. So I'll put it there. And I'll move the vertices actually as well. I'll snap it to the grid just to keep it nice and clean, like so. That's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. Again, I can go into the edge, bevel this edge, fraction, I'll make it about there maybe. I'll just see what that looks like. I might add a couple more edges just to make this a bit rounder. That's pretty good there. I might add one more. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so there is my button as well for the lamp. Something just to keep in mind that might be a good idea to start getting used to here. The bottom of this button is never going to be seen, so there's no point having any geometry in there. So I'm going to hit the isolate button and I'm going to get rid of these faces underneath here. If you were going to like unwrap this properly, like this is all wasted space that isn't required. You're never going to see it, so it does not need to be there. So I can just get rid of that, and you see there's no difference in the model at all. I've just noticed as well that the hard edge is along here as well. So I'm going to go into edge mode and fix this up as well. So soften edge on that, and that gets rid of that as well. So that's looking pretty good. Alright, so I'm going to leave this video here for now. I'm not going to add any more to this section here until I start actually making the arm. This may get bigger or smaller depending on like what the arm looks like. If I'm not happy with it, then I will modify it to work the way that I want it to work. So I'll just leave that like that for now.